Hello, welcome. Today we're going to talk about just general sickle cell nutrition because that seems to be sort of a big thing, and everybody's body is different. Everybody's blood type is different. Everybody's situation is different, and we don't want to say one size fits all because that's a tomfoolery. That is not science. It is not realistic. What one treatment isn't going to fix everyone's problem. Some people are going to be reactive to something. Some people have allergies. Some people have different types of things. So we have to be really careful about how we go about one size fits all, right? So I'm going to talk about a couple different things that you can try to help if you've got sickle cell anemia or you have sickle cell disease or whatever. You want to be able to look after it in a natural way. So first of all, you want to talk to your doctor. Right? You want to talk to your doctor, make sure that everything is fine. I'm not a doctor. So I want you to make sure that you're driving with your doctor. Getting a doctor can be really tricky. You want a doctor that, you can ask questions and not feel stupid, right? You want to be able to have a nice dialogue with your doctor. It's really important, right? And I know doctors, that some people are having, here in Canada, we have a doctor shortage. In the States, you got to pay $1 million to see one. It's like, no matter where it is you are in the world, it's good to have a hematologist, first of all. You have GP, and if you have kids, it's pediatrician. And as well, you want to also have other practitioners, right? Different practitioners do different things, right? So there's body workers like massage therapists, cranial sacral massage, fascia, myofascial release, like all of those those are fantastic for people with chronic conditions, right? Especially for sickle cell. Nutrition. So there are different ways of eating, right? So there's 4 or 5 different diets that I really like that I think are, great for people with sickle cell. One is the Mediterranean diet, right? It's historically been fantastic. We have tons of science behind it. You're not starving yourself. It's nutritious. It's easy to do. It's not complicated. There are vegan and vegetarian options. There's the meat option. There's a ton of different reasons that Mediterranean diet is fantastic. Plus, some of the people that live the longest, right? People that live what are called in the blue zones, especially in the Mediterranean, live super long. So they've been studying the Mediterranean diet for years. Love it. It's fantastic. I generally like to do the Mediterranean diet in the summer because it has a little bit more carbohydrates. So I'll do more carbohydrates when I'm more active, right? Or if I'm working out a lot, right? But then there's the second type of diet, which I love, and it's just fantastic, which is the anti-inflammatory diet. Fantastic. Amazing. This one is a little less on the carbohydrates, focuses a little more on proteins. It's not quite keto. Keto is a whole other thing. Keto is tricky. Keto, yes, it's good, but it's tricky, right? So I'm not putting it in this list just yet, just because there's some things about keto. I'll have a whole other video talking about intermittent fasting and ketogenic or whatever, because that's a whole other animal, and it requires a little bit more precision when you do it, right? Because people mess that stuff up a lot and they wind up low on potassium, liver problems, whatever. But it can be really fantastic, right? Also, intermittent fasting over the long term for women is, I don't know, I'm not totally convinced that it's super good. There's some science behind that where they're saying that on the long term it might not be super great, especially if you're trying to get pregnant, right? But anti-inflammatory diet is totally safe. It's totally yummy. It's way delicious. It might be a little on the pricier side, but there is a vegan option. There's a vegetarian option. There's lots of different ways of doing the Mediterranean diet. And that one I usually do from, say, the end of summer to maybe early to late spring-ish, right? So I don't need as much carbohydrates during that time. And the third one, the body ecology diet. Love that, by Donna Gates. I should have brought my book with me, whatever. Fantastic. This one is more of a probiotic diet. And it's beautiful because you can be on any other diet that is out there and still do Donna Gates' book, the body ecology. You can still do it. It's very versatile. It's all about food combining. It's about probiotics. It's about a lot of different things that are really healthy that you can implement within a Mediterranean diet or within an anti-inflammatory diet, right? So fantastic, right? Body ecology diet, it's called. The next one is for women, which is called cycle syncing, right? People are like, what? Cycle syncing? Woman by the name of Alyssa Vitti created this whole thing. She did a book called The Woman Code. Awesome. So here's the Woman Code. Fantastic book. Alyssa Vitti's work is really interesting. It's new, it's innovative. The research is really well done. She did a really good job. Cycle syncing is to sort of promote fertility, libido, all of these things that when you have a condition, if you have sickle cell, if you have any of that, it's a problem sometimes, right? Because our bodies are tired. And so this is a great book for females. So I highly recommend this particular book. This is what the body ecology diet book looks like. It's fantastic. Go and get it. It's amazing. And she did a really, really good job with it. You can implement it with different diets. Pow! Okay, so this is Back to Your Roots, Food of the Gods, or Food for the Gods, or whatever, by Chef Dawood Ujima. I'm ruining your name. I'm so sorry. Fantastic book. And there he is. Now his book is he bases it on his own sort of ideas of nutrition and stuff like that. Lots of root-based things with thiocyanate in it, which is good for people with sickle cell. You can use this book too. I use it more as a recipe book, more so than a diet. I don't regularly eat from this book because it's a little more heavier diet. I like a lighter diet. But this is a great book. You could totally try it out, see if you like it. I want to talk a bit about the microbiome a little bit because I'm going to have a lot of different recipes for that. The probiotics is critical for us because we take a lot of medications. These medications tend to kill the microbiome. They do. Sometimes it depends on what, not all of it, but just we need to replenish, right? We are on a lot of antibiotics. And antibiotics are the devil for the microbiome, right? They just kill everything. Sometimes we need that. We have to do a full system, whatever, and then replenish. But that replenishing is so critical. So I already did a video on the microbiome, but yeah, I'm going to probably wind up talking a lot more about it later on in different videos because it's really critical and you can save a lot of money if you make your own. So we'll talk about that, how to make your own. So the woman's name is Dr. Robin Chutkin. Ta-da! She wrote Gut Bliss. She has like a million other books that are really super great. This one is especially great. I love her book. And I think for people with sickle cell, it's really important because our immune systems get damaged from splenic infarction, where you lose your spleen, where they have to, where they take the spleen, or you have sickling in the spleen, in the kidneys. It's painful. I had my first experience of it last year. It's horrid. So it's really important that we take care of that and we keep our microbiome at its strongest to prevent illness. And what she discovered was, okay, so she's a gastrointestinologist, and she discovered that people with low stomach acid were getting sicker than people with high stomach acid. Huh? I thought, we always have this assumption that if everything is alkaline, you're healthier. Because alkaline brings more oxygen into the cell, into your body. It can help kill certain cancers and it can be really helpful. But on the long term, forever, not so much, right? They're finding that that stomach acid helps to burn away toxicity, viruses. It helps your stomach acid is to help your stomach actually absorb your body absorb more vitamins and nutrients, right? We want to have all those nutrients and you need all that stomach acid there. So if you dilute it down, then you're not actually getting all of the nutrition that you could be getting, right? So anyway, really, really great book and I highly recommend it. The other thing that I want to talk about briefly are certain supplements that are great for sickle cell. One of my biggest ones is nattokinase. Nattokinase. Now in Japan, they have this fermented bean recipe, a product called natto, and it's kind of stinky for people who aren't used to it. But it's really nutritious. And what the scientists have found is that it separates the cell from sticking together. With sickle cell, the cells are misshapen, right? So it's not round like a sphere, right? Like regular people, it runs through the body really easy. They don't get clogged, whatever. But with people with sickle cell, it gets clogged. It can cause pain. You get this traffic jam in your arm or in your body or your stomach, in the spleen, everywhere. It can cause blindness. Just earlier this year, I lost some of the hearing in my ear. It is not good. So we need to maintain drinking tons of water, obviously, right? And also dealing with the issue of circulation. And nattokinase, right, which is the component within natto, can help keep those cells from sticking together. It's amazing. But I want you to be careful with it if you're taking blood thinners. Don't take it if you're on blood thinners. Talk to your doctor about that one. But nattokinase is a wonderful supplement. Now I take that with serrapeptase. They're both enzymes and that are fantastic together on an empty stomach in the morning, an hour before your breakfast. That's how I take it. I like to take something called L-glutamine. Right now, there's this whole huge thing with sickle cell. This rage over what's called Endari. It's a medication. They call it pharmaceutical grade L-glutamine. I don't really know what that means. I haven't really been able to get a really clear explanation as to why is it different from regular L-glutamine. Maybe you're a doctor and you're seeing this. Maybe you can type it in the comments saying, what that means. But it's like so expensive. It's like super expensive L-glutamine, this Endari business. Holy moly. But I use fermented L-glutamine. You can get it at the shop, or you can get it on Amazon, wherever, the various online health food stores. And it helps with sickle cell and for sickling. L-glutathione, right? One of the things is if I'm about to have a sickle cell attack and I can feel it coming, I'll put a little L-glutathione. I have the ones that you dissolve under the tongue. Those are the best. Can you see that? Yeah, there it is. And this is beetroot nitric oxide. This is really important. Super awesome. Now I'm unclear if you can actually get it from regular beets. I think you can. It has natural nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is important because it helps with the circulation, especially if you have any kind of anemia. Circulation is important. So beetroot nitric oxide is fantastic. Nitric oxide helps to relax the blood vessel so that the cells can go through the body easily and effortlessly without, whatever, and also staying calm and cool, whatever. So I take these two and I take some niacin, the flush kind, not the flush free. There's flush free kind. Niacin usually makes you itchy and scratchy and it heats you up and you think you're dying. You're like, oh, what the hell is happening to me? Oh. And you totally need this. You do. Why? What that itchy, scratchy, like creepy feeling that it gives you is actually the blood vessels opening up and closing again. They're contracting, and you want that contraction because it brings, while you're drinking your fluids, especially when you're about to have an attack, you drink all the fluids, and sometimes you can halt the attack. It can, sometimes, not all the times. If you miss that magic cutoff, then you're still in an episode, and it doesn't prevent you from getting sickle cell. It doesn't cure anything, but it's a great treatment. So I take those three things together when I'm about to have a sickle cell attack, when I can feel like, oh, something's not quite right. And you can dose your niacin so that the flush isn't super, super heavy duty. I take 500 milligrams. That's a lot, right? So you can start with like 50 or like 100, like start low and then work your way up, or as you're comfortable, right? Talk to your doctor again. But definitely niacin is wonderful. Make sure on the bottle it doesn't say flush free, because then that kind of just totally defeats the purpose of having that circulation go through. Magnesium and zinc, totally important from your heart, for your muscles. If you're getting cramping and all that, that's really important. Vitamin D is essential for people with sickle cell, especially if you live in northern climates like here in Canada, and I'm in Vancouver where there ain't no sun. And we need, especially if you have darker skin tones, need more vitamin D. You do. You can't. No, I take a huge amount. I take quite a large amount. Controversial. There's a lot of controversy around vitamin D and the supposed toxicity. But if you're butt naked and you're laying out in the sun, you're getting hundreds of thousands of IUs of vitamin D. So the whole thing with it being toxic is kind of questionable. You'll see online, "Oh, beware, be careful, rah," over it. There's all this controversy around it. And I've been taking high doses for years and nothing has happened, knock on wood. It's been fine for me. So talk to your doctor, do your own research and find out what level of vitamin D you take. Now I take about 7,000 IUs a day, rain or shine. And then if I'm feeling sick, I'll take about 10,000 IUs. I know that sounds like a lot. It is a lot. Or even up to 20,000 if it's really bad, if I've got like COVID or something. And I take it with something called vitamin K. You put the two together, K2 and vitamin D3, you put those two together, they bind well, and it goes into the body and you're able to do it. You'll feel so much better. You'll be like, "Whoa," and it's your fighting immune system. Now, I'm probably going to get trolled to death. People like, "That's toxic. You can't tell people that." This is just what I'm doing, right? You don't have to do this, right? You can, on the bottle it says take 1,000. But I mean, if you have a lot of melon, that ain't gonna work. I mean, you need a little bit more. If you're in a sunny climate like Florida or Mexico or something, then maybe you don't have to take so much. So really use your own common sense and try and figure out how that might work for you. It's folic acid, that's a classic one that the body needs, folic acid, and iron. We usually are low on iron. Now, people with sickle cell, some of us have iron overload. So do not take iron at all if you have iron overload, obviously, right? And same with vitamin C. If you have low iron, you take your iron and vitamin C together, and that binds and fuses, and that is what brings your iron levels up, right? Herbally, you can take, I use nettle. Well, nettle with some lemon in tea. It doesn't taste like much, but I love it. It's so great. You can use it in salad. You can have it on, you can eat it in your dinner or whatever. It's a really versatile herb. And elderberry, let's talk about a little bit about herbs. So there's nattokinase, I already talked about. Nettle and lemon. Licorice root is really good. Resveratrol is essential. Why? Why is resveratrol good for us? Resveratrol helps to, like I said, it helps us to build fetal hemoglobin. It's the round hemoglobin that goes through the cell, helping us helps to halt sickling. The main medication that we take is called hydroxyurea. It's sort of a form of chemotherapy. And this chemotherapy helps our bodies, the bone marrow, to produce fetal hemoglobin in the system. And it's great, but it's also, some people react to it. I know I had a weird reaction to it. Some people take it for a number of years and then they can't take it anymore, right? So I have people that can't take it anymore. So it's important to have options, right? Because that's always the first thing. There are downsides to taking hydroxyurea. Of course, it makes you sterile in men. Sterility in men is common. There's issues with, it's a form of chemotherapy. Geez, hair loss, like all the thing, whatever. I had to take it for like 5 years before my liver was like, forget it. So I stopped taking it. So it does work. It is good, but it's also hard on the body, obviously, because it's a chemotherapy and it will mess with your microbiome. So I had a miserable time on hydroxyurea, but it did help. Because I was acute. I was in an acute phase. So that, every form of medicine has its place, right? If you break your leg or you get hit by a car, you're not going to come to a herbalist. No, you're going to go to emergency and see a damn doctor, right? But if you have something chronic and there's something weird and the doctors are like, oh, whatever, blah, blah, then yeah, herbalism is great. Seeing a herbalist or seeing a natural practitioner, naturopath, any of those doctors are really great to see. Okay, so that's resveratrol. So resveratrol and gum arabic, or what's called acacia. That's another one that helps to. They have studies that have shown that you can use that for fetal hemoglobin, and I'll put some links below to some of the papers and that are out there, sort of journals and stuff that talk about that. Links to the sites that. Where the science is, and you can sort of look for yourself and make your own decisions about it. And lastly, I want to talk about, everybody's like, oh, drum roll please, da, 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 da. You need to poo. Everybody needs to poo. You'll die if you don't poo. And the problem with constipation is that when you get out of the hospital, you're just loaded with medications. You've got to take a lot of medications. If you've got sickle cell or if you've got other conditions or whatever, if you're taking a lot of medications, that's going to mess with your gut biome. It's going to mess with your bowel. And a lot of times people get constipated. So what do? And there's a number of natural ways to deal with that, right? So I like soaked chia. Ta-da! You soak your chia in there for 10, 20 minutes, and you just sort of stir it up. It's kind of gloopy, so you can sort of but it thickens. Like this. I don't know if you can see that. It thickens. You can make a pudding out of it. I usually make chia pudding. I mix it with some milk or some nut milk or whatever, and you make a really yummy with some little bit of maple syrup and cinnamon. Done. Yum, yay. Or I just water this down and have more of a liquid, and that helps to hydrate the bowel when you're going through this. And I'll drink it while I'm taking medications too, right? So that it doesn't get a chance to really take hold. The other one that I love is, now some people say senna-based products aren't super great. Senna is a leaf that helps you poo. It kind of makes your stomach go, oh, and ta-da, poo. So this one is really great. I can't rave enough about it. It's called Smooth Move. Ew, but it's a great product. And it has some really key ingredients in it that will help with your bowel. Now, there's a lot of different teas that you can get that are all natural. I try to stay away from the synthetic stuff that I get at the shop. Sometimes it's a necessity, if nothing works, then yes, do it. You can try, some people do Epsom salts, 1 or 2 tablespoons of Epsom salts in water. Tastes like the devil. So in a glass this size full of water, you put a tablespoon or 2 in. You drink it on an empty stomach before you've had anything to eat. You drink it down. You're like, wow, that's horrible. And then you wait a while, and you're like, oh, and then bam, you're flushed. And it's a system flush. It works like it hot down because Epsom salts is magnesium. Magnesium helps you poo. So that's another thing. Magnesium. Take magnesium, high dose, or milk of magnesia if you're having problems with constipation. Super big deal. And then a last way to do it is sea salt. Now this one's a little trickier, especially if you have issues with your kidneys and stuff, but using 1 or 2 tablespoons of sea salt in your water on an empty stomach in the same size glass as this. You drink it down. And it's like 1 or 2 teaspoons. Like, don't be careful with it. Yeah. And talk to your doctor if you have, like, say, high cholesterol or high blood pressure or whatever. You're taking blood pressure medication or whatever. Just talk to your doctor about it. But that will help you poo. And yeah, again, you'll feel that like, oh no. Now, some people, they're so backed up. You have to do maybe 1 or 2 to do it right. And then they poo. And then the other one, I think I keep saying, and lastly, and then I keep going on. Did you notice that? Anyway, lastly is the old-fashioned enema. Boo, we know who loves an enema. Yeah. Anyway, you got to do what you got to do. It's got to come out one way or another. So that's really important as well, to be able to flush your system and get all of that medication, pharmaceutical out of your system. So anyway, so this is just a general thing on sickle cell. I'm going to be talking in different videos about pain management. I'm going to talk about discrimination. I'm going to talk about supplements in a bigger detail, herbs in a bigger detail. I'm going to talk about medicinal cooking for sickle cell. I'm going to talk about the social psychosocial issues, isolation, and also cognitive stuff, depression, and all that stuff in later videos. So you're welcome to join me in those. So anyway, thank you for spending some time with me. Please like and subscribe if you can. If you want any information or whatever, just check below in the comments below, because that is what you're supposed to say. And yeah, have a wonderful day, and thank you for listening.